Question regarding the difference between in the prayer we asked the previous questions regarding how could it be that Kadosh Baruch Hu we call one of the first blessings we call him Ata Gibor, Gvura, and in that blessing we mention things which have a lot of chesed, a lot of kindness to it, like life, rain, which is parnasa, and Tchiyat HaMetim, livelihood, and Tchiyat HaMetim. When the people come back to life after when Mashiach comes. So B'ezrat Hashem, we want to understand how is Gvura connected in that. Gvura means how is judgment and strength connected in that. Doesn't make sense. Guys, do not forget, today we have a Shiur Gemara. Today we have a Shiur Gemara at 8 o'clock. We're going to keep... I was going to say, Asaf's in charge of finding a sponsor for today. Last time we learned Lishma. Nothing on the table. And we've filled up our souls. But now, Be'ezrat Hashem... No, איזה חמין? No. לקח, לא לומדים... גמרא, you can't learn עם חמין. That's impossible. This חמישי, it was a quest not to. People... Look, guys can't come. They told me this, that. That's something. Okay. עכשיו, בואו נדבר על זה. There's two types of גבורה. What's the two types of גבורה? Two types of strength. There is Seder Ishtalshelut and Gvurat Da'atik. This is for you. Gvura shel Seder Ishtalshelut and Gvura of Atik. Seder Ishtalshelut means the way how things work. That we know kindness means kindness. When it says kindness, it means kindness. When it says judgment, it means judgment. Gvura means din. Everything from the way it sounds like Teferet is a good mixture between them. But then there is Gvura of Atik. And what is that? It's considered pnimiyut haketer shelemala meseder ishtalshelut. What does that mean? That's basically imagine with our imagination. Of course, not. We're explaining terms over here. Let's say Hakadosh Baruch Hu is sitting on the throne, or Kisei HaKavod, the God is sitting on the throne, and on God's head is a crown. So imagine the inside of the crown. So basically, there's seder ishtalshelut. There is the way of everything being. However, everything runs in the world, right? Let's say there's oxygen, there's the rules of physics. I'm giving a bunch of ideas over here, but there's something greater than that. That's basically everything set with laws and rules. You know, if I'm going to take water and spill it like this, it's going to go on the floor. It's not going to flow higher. Why? Because gravity. So that's the way of things that stuff work in Seder Ishtalshelut. And yet, something more important and beautiful, that is the inner part of the crown of God. What does that mean? That stuff over there that we think that could be judgment, and it comes from the best place ever. And it comes from the positive thing for you. So let's see inside the words he says over here. אשר לא זו בלבד שאינה מצומצמת בהגבלה, אין האדרבה היא בגבורת ההשפעה, והיינו השפעה יותר מן הרגיל. So he says over here that usually, like we explain, if I tell you there's two people on the block, one person is judgment and one person is kind. Could you please go to their house and ask from each one of them a cup of sugar? We need it for the. So where are you going to expect the person to give you more sugar? The kind person, right? You're not going to the kind person is going to give you for sure a full cup or even a big cup. But the person which is judgment, judges and very with dinim, what is he going to do? He's gonna give you exactly a cup or less than an exact cup, or he's gonna see exactly like you need exactly a cup or you need 3/4. And he's gonna be more on the dot with you. Now, why do I care about all this? So we say over here that the Gvura said that's the judgment that we all know. People tells you Gvura, Gibor, it's very afraid, it's very big, very high. You have to be afraid. That's that type of Gibor. But there's something we never heard of until today. That's called the Gvura Avatik. The Gvura Avatik means the Gvura, the judgment and the strength of God that comes from the inner part of his crown. What does that mean? Everything has limit, right? We said if I have a cup of water, there's a limit how much water I can put in the cup. Now, this Gvura has no cup. So imagine I tell you, if I tell you like this, there's two names over here, two name tags. There's something called Seder Ishtalshelut, the way of how things are up there. What does that mean? Like we said, if I pour water on the floor, gravity. That's simple. We're giving ideas over here. So if I tell you kindness, you interpret it as kindness. If I tell you judgment, you interpret it judgment. Simple. No, nothing big over here. But there's another title that we call it unlimited, no limit. Unlimitedness of greatness. And if I tell you judgment from this category and kindness from this category, what's greater? The judgment. The judgment in a good level. What does that mean? Now when I say Ata Gibor, we have to understand what we're saying in the prayer, right? We're saying Ata Gibor L'olam Hashem Mechayim Metim Ata Rav Loshia Mashiv Roch Umoid HaGeshem Mechayim Chayim Bechesed Mechayim Metim Rachamim Rabim. When you pray, you have to understand what you're saying over here. You're saying God is the great and strong. But if I'm saying all this doesn't make sense. I'm saying if God is the great one, and He is the one that has the strength and the deen and the judgment, how could it be that He's going to give me also, He's going to give afterlife, and He's also going to give resignation, people are going to come back from the dead, and He's going to also give rain and life. Stuff don't work out over here. Because usually the person like this is that means, I would say, because God is Gibor, Le'olam, so what does that mean? If I don't act good, I shouldn't be expecting Parnasah, right? If I'm not doing good with my Jewish life, or with my life, I'm not supposed to get anything. Bottom line, you see people, Parnasah from here to tomorrow, from to the next level, Baruch Hashem, and you see the level of the Torah is not so high. The level of being connected, where does this come from? This comes from Gvurav Atik. Again, Gvurav Atik is having a cup of water filled to the top, and I tell you, you could put inside another 5 gallons. I don't understand that. How could that be? Because it is not limited. It's like a black hole. You pour and pour, and it's always going to get filled. You can always put more and more. And that's the Gvurah that we're talking about over here. When I say Ata Gibor L'olam Hashem, when I'm reading in the Amidah, we say we want to understand every single word, the flow. Remember we spoke about it on Monday. We want to understand what we're saying over here. When I say Ata Gibor L'olam Hashem, I'm not talking about the Gibor strength of judgment and being particular. Rather, the one that comes from on top of the crown, which means whatever you want, I give you much more. Whatever you need, I give you much more. That's the type of strength. It's like touching about what we spoke about last week regarding Rachamim, mercy. There's 2 types of mercy. There's a mercy of someone that he sees someone, and he had a hard time in his life also. Parnasah, he used to be on the streets until he built himself up. So when he sees someone on the streets, or he sees a family member of him struggling, so what does he do? He gives him a push. A couple of dollars, a couple hundred to push him, to help him out. That's good and well. But it doesn't hold him up for a long time. What does hold a person for a long time? Makes him strong. What? The rachamim the rachamim of greatness. Real rachamim of greatness. Someone that really gets great and starts stepping on people, saying, no. Come and give me you have to schedule a time with me, then we'll talk. Starts pushing people away. It's close friends. That type of person means the poison went up. It's not a serious. The honor and the mercy. He doesn't have mercy. The greater he gets, the more evil he's going to be himself. You can't deal with it. But we said that Kadosh Baruch Hu, God is what? Rachamim. What type of mercy does God have? God has the best type of mercy, and He proves it from a couple places. And we said that the mercy that Kadosh Baruch Hu has is the type of mercy. The higher and higher you get, the more caring and loving you get for the people that are on bottom. Like you said, the Baal Rebbe, the highest, no time for nobody, and he still will make time for everybody. Imagine all the rabbis. If you're busy, you're great, you're supposed to learn Torah all day. But what did he do? The whole Sunday for 5, 6 hours, 7 hours, 9 hours, he sits and gives dollars. You know what pain that is? Imagine trying to do the same act like this. Passing a dollar from the table to the person, table to the person, table to the person. Try to do that action for 2 hours. Let me see you. He used to put his hand in the cold, in ice water after, and do compresses his hand, and he would still do it every single week. Why? Because to give every single person $1 to do mitzvah, and people actually would take the money after and exchange it to keep that for having a blessing. Because you got a bracha v'atzlacha from when you get a physical object from a rabbi, it has blessing to it. Also about the Baba Sali. The Baba Sali could have said all day and learn in the depths of the Torah. What did he do? He had a Kabbalat Kahal. He would sit and people would come and listen to him. So what's the right type of mercy? Is the higher the person gets and the greater he gets, the more he still accepts everybody. The way he's more in love with the people which are much lower, the bottom of the food chain, so to speak, in Judaism. Understand? Same thing over here. We think we understand what's Gvura. We think we understand what's judgment, but we don't. It says over here, there's two type of labels. There's one, Seder Ishtalshelut. That is the one we regularly know. You know, way of nature. You pour water, it's going to spill. It's not going to float. We're in earth. And then we have the Gvura Batik, which is much greater. And he says over here, we have a couple minutes, 3 minutes, we're going to finish. 2 minutes. שתי בחינות אלו של גבורה נמצאות בפועל בשני מערכות שונות. סדר השתלשלות ולמעלה מסדר השתלשלות, על דרך משל מלך בשר ודם הקובע מערכת של חוקים ומשפטים ומסגרת מוטל על האזרחים במדינה לשלם מסים ולשרת את הצבא. He says over here, he gives an example of a king. That a king tells everyone that I'm giving new taxes on the country. And the king brings to who to enforce it? He brings judges and cops, right, to enforce the tax. Until now, the king wouldn't take tax. Now the king needs tax. He needs money for the roads, the community, to make the army stronger. He needs a change, and he needs people to stand on it. And all the people in the city are paying, and they're enforced by who? By the laws and rules, right? We have the cops and the judges to make sure everyone's going to be in sync. So now, if someone's going to get caught not paying by the judges or the cops, what's going to happen? They're sent to jail. ואולם המלך עצמו קובע את החוקים. נעלה מהחוקים ואינו כפוף להם. The king, of course, we're not talking about the story of like we had in Purim, that the second the king's ring would stamp something, the king himself can't do anything. Over here we're talking about a king that can still change the rules. He's not bounded to his rules. That means if I enforce that every single family has to give $200 in the end of every month, taxes, the cops have to make sure everyone has it. And every single person in the city or in the country is bound to those rules. Now he said over here, the king himself is not bounded. He is higher than the gravity, so to speak. He is not bound by the rules of, if I pour a cup of water, water is going to spill down. By the king, and so to speak, if I pour the water, it could float. Understand? He's not bound by the rules of the rules that we already know. ואכן בימי קדם היה נוהג כאשר היו מוליכים פושע לתלייה, אם המלך עבר במקום והנאשם זכה לראות פני המלך, הוא קיבל את חייו במתנה ויצא לחופשי. He says there was a custom back then that when someone gets punishment of let's say he went treason, went against where he's not paying taxes, but basically stuff that very, very bad, and he gets all the way, and he gets such a high level of it that the punishment is by death. So when they would take the person from the cellar, from the jail cell, to hang him, if from here to there he saw the king, let's say he walked and he saw the face of the king, he's exempt.
Oh, really?
He brings it down over here. He says, והיה נוהג כאשר היו מוליכים פושע לתלייה, when they'll take someone, they'll pass him through. אם המלך עבר במקום, if the king would pass at that time, והנאשם זכה לראות פני המלך, saw the face of the king, הוא קיבל את חייו במתנה. He got his life in present. Unbelievable. What? Pardon, exactly. ויצא לחופשי. וזאת משום שבעיני השופטים והשוטרים יש משפט ועונש. In the eyes of the judges, you could, from today to tomorrow, a cop gives you a ticket, you can explain to him from today to tomorrow what you have done. And you're right, blah, blah, blah. But he can exempt you from it. Who can exempt you from it? The judge, and that's only maybe if he agrees with the way that you're bringing everything, right? Am I everything right up until now? But the king is above all this. He's the one that makes these type of things. He makes the rules of nature. He makes the rules. So in the eye, while he's getting pulled from the cellar to get hung, the cops and the judges ruled it out. That's it. In our eyes, we see what the king said, and we don't see everything's black or white. You did yes, you didn't do no. And they lock it up like this and finish it off. And they say, "Ve'ilu mibchinat hamelech yesh chaim bilvad." The king has the greatness level of chaim. Be'or pnei hamelech chaim, ve'lamrot shehamelech hu הקובע את החוקים, ואיסורים והעונשים, מאחר והמלך עצמו למעלה מזה, וכל כולו חיות מובא כי מפגש בלתי אמצעי עם פני המלך מעניק רק חיות. So he says over here that the idea over here is like this, that when someone passes, when the king, the cops are bound to the rules of the king. But after that, after they're bounded by the rules of the king, if the king passes by and the king is considered life, we spoke about it before, the king is considered life, and he's not bound by his own rules. He could, from today, from tomorrow, change things here and there. The second you see the face of the king, it's like you saw the face of life. And now the person appreciates the king much more. And that psychologically changes the way his characteristics. You can say this person is a poshea. This person is negligent. It's his fault. He has to go to prison. But the second he saw, because the reason why he has his life right now is because he saw the face of the king. That's what changed. It's so too over here. The idea of Ata Gibor is not the Gibor, it's not the strength and the judgment of what we think of the cops and the judges. Rather, it's the Gibor of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, of God, that when you see his face, when you imagine his face, when you pray to him, he could change the Seder Bereshit, he could change the whole nature for you, and with that, you're going to have a much better and happy life. Baruch Adonai L'Olam. Amen v'amen. Have a great